The first part, as you want to speak of the diorama through there, to get the rice out of the field to harvest, it was a reaper, McCormick's reaper he developed, and it got to be a more reliable piece of machinery. And by the late 1800s, you'd pull it through the field, it would cut and bind the rice, and then it was left in the field to dry. You'd stack it together.
The rice was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, left out in the field to dry. And then you would, at a wagon, they would go through the field, throw the rice, shocked rice, the sheaves on the wagon, bring it to the thrasher in one central point. Then it was thrown under the thrasher. The diorama has a man throwing it onto a long chain. Your grandfather, when he first showed up, that was more recent innovation. He had to hand feed it, and he was a young man, wasn't strong enough to work in the field, but so he was a younger guy. His job was to feed the thrasher, and it was really tough not to get your hand torn up in the arm or into the machine. And it was hard on his hands in the dust, and he would have coughs and chills all night. But it was really hard, tough work. And then rice was sacked and carried away to the mills for storage in the mills.
So inside of the thrasher, why was it so dangerous?
Well, to knock the grain off the head, it's just like taking stalks of grain and beating them on something. Well, the rotating cylinder would knock the grains off the head, and it would fall through sieves, and a fan to blow the chaff, and they'd have an enormous chaff pile out the back. But it was rotating really fast. It had a little engine. At first, it was steam powered, and by the later 30s, the time of the diorama, it was powered by a little gasoline fuel-powered tractor on a long belt. And then the rice was put in the sacks, maybe not fully dry, but it was stacked on a wagon and brought under cover and kept until it was sold to the mills. Mills were first in New Orleans, but they began to show up in Crowley early on because it was just too far to send it. The first rice grown in Louisiana was down to Mississippi, and New Orleans was the center. It moved to Crowley by the early 1900s.
What did you do when it got to the mill? What happened there?
The mill would take the hull off and polish it and then sack it and sell it, and put it on a train and ship it around the country, wherever the markets were.